Testing 1, 2, and we are live. Almost Saturday afternoon here, 11:30. Thanks for dropping by. This is Bronze Dragon. Got my chores done for the morning, a couple cups of coffee in me and some cereal, and I am ready to talk about Splinterlands. How's everybody doing out there? My major action in Splinterlands this week has been actually finishing up my preparation for land. Hope everyone's prep. If you are going to play the land game, I hope your prep is coming along well. Obviously, there's some other kind of bigger items that we're kind of in the news, in the Splinterlands news. Hey, Tom, thanks for stopping by. I do appreciate it. Here to talk a little Splinterlands news and what's going on. So like I said, this previous Monday, hey Paul, thanks for stopping by. Do appreciate it. So I've got 10 plots, right? And I've talked about this before. I don't know. I guess if some really good deals come down the pipe, I might go more. But at this point, I'm happy with 10 plots. I finished up buying my card as far as staking cards go this previous Monday. I had 2 more cards to buy. I bought them. I think I'm pretty well set. I think my 10 plots are going to average between 9 and 10,000 production points per land. Garut, thanks for dropping by. He says, first time here live. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. I do appreciate everybody stopping by to talk a little Splinterlands or Golem Overlord or Terracore, whatever y'all want to talk about. We'll start off talking about Splinterlands and what's been, the basic news of the week and shoot our opinions in there, see what everybody wants to talk about. Tom says 400 plots here. Might be a bit stretched here. Wow. That is a lot, Tom. I mean, it's going back to the idea or the kind of, it's a completely different viewpoint of a player like myself playing between, 0 and, or between 1 and 20 plots and a person like yourself playing 400 plots. I can understand that. I just never, up to a few videos ago, I never really looked at it from that standpoint because I knew I would never be there. But it's very valid discussion point because there's some people, not a whole lot, but there are some people, a handful of people in your same situation. You're going to approach this much differently than I am. Obviously, a lot more DEC staking is involved. A lot more card purchasing is involved. So I can completely understand that. I think if I was in your shoes, I definitely, obviously, just my personal opinion, I would almost go from the standpoint of bringing the most important plots online so you can get up and running and get some income coming in to help bring the other plots online. I think that would be my approach. Just hoping I can do something delicate to guild members, maybe. Yeah, with the whole land surfing idea coming out, you will be able to, there's no details on that yet, but the whole idea should lend itself to be able to have other people work your plots. But there's still, that's the whole idea. The sticking point for me is if I'm going to surf on your land, and I'm not picking you out, Tom. I'm just saying generally the general idea. If I'm going on somebody else's land to surf, and I'm going to pay to clear that land, why would I pay my monsters and my staking to clear that land if the person that owns it can come right behind and after I get it done clearing, just kick me off? I think that's a major sticking point there, and they obviously have to come up with an idea to make it good on both sides. I like the idea of surfing and being able to share your land. You say, hey, guildmates, you can come over here and surf on my land, and you'll do this, I'll do this, we'll split it, we'll split the, the whatever comes of it. But I think the whole idea, the whole sticking point there is, I wouldn't want to go on somebody else's land, pay the time and effort and staking and everything involved in clearing the land and start to work it, and then they kick me off. That's the whole sticking point for me. Crypto Beavers in the house. Welcome. Thanks for dropping by. Crypto Beaver says he's got 16 plots, 16 common totems, just need more max level cards to get better production levels. That's another thing that I finished up buying last week. I do have a common totem for each land, each plot that is, and I have my cards that I need to stake out. And like I said, I'm going to kind of average between 9 and 10,000 production points per plot. And I do have my I've always liked the idea of the totems, and I think they're going to come in handy, and I think they're going to pay off. Obviously, not investment advice. Obviously, down the road, we'll have other totems they can put together from the totem fragments, but that's so far off that I wanted to have totems on my land right up front. So, and Tom kicks in, agreed, 1 castle, 2 keeps first. Wow. You know, Tom, I can't even imagine. You know, I mean, when I started off this channel, my main point was getting into the game small and going for good value cards and etc. And over the years, and I generally have started spending more money on the game. And in fact, this whole last 2 months that I've been prepping for what started out as 4 plots and ended up as 10 plots, because I got up one day and there was a great deal on 4 rare plots. But I stepped back this last week and I realized that I had spent close to $1,500. And to you, that's probably chump change, because what you're spending on a castle, keeps, 400 plots, I understand. But coming from where I'm coming from, starting off this channel talking about, I start off in bronze, silver, those kind of deals. I don't have, most of my cards aren't maxed out, that kind of thing. I just can't comprehend putting that much money. More power to you. I can't comprehend putting that much investment. I hope everything works out for us, right? Especially on your scale. I can imagine how much money you've put into this. I hope everything works out. And even on my scale, I hope the money that like I said, and that's the $1,500 I put in doesn't even count that initial like 4 plots I bought, beforehand, right? So hope it works out. Cross fingers. Gathering the Magic in the house. Good morning. Thanks for dropping by. Do appreciate it. Garut says, we'll be putting all my non-gaming cards to all my plots, not factoring in the production points of each plot, as long as I am getting something from them. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think that if you buy, except in the exception where you have a huge amount of plots, like Tom was saying, he has 400, right? I think if you have, 0 to 1 to 20, I think you're going to want those up and running, whatever you have on them. And I can agree with that. I went from the aspect of, if I'm going to buy a plot, I'm going to have a certain amount of staking to make that, worth it. Because and I'll go back to Gatherings. Gatherings done a couple videos on this, as far as getting good value to your staking, the cards you stake versus how much you're paying to stake them. At a certain point, you can say, okay, it's 50,000 per plot to stake 5 max cards, right? But is it really worth 50,000? Lost my train of thought. Is it really worth 50,000 DEC to stake max level common regular foil cards? I don't know. Whereas you can go in and specifically get a few different other cards that are not max level, pay much less in staking, save that way, and still keep the land up and running, right? And obviously, I think, from my perspective, I can't speak for anybody else, but I think going forward, if this works out, then my general perspective is going to be, obviously, take the profits and either one, try to find deals on other plots to expand the land I have, or take the profits and increase the staking quality or amount on each plot I do have. I would like to kind of, we've talked about this whole idea of going deep or going wide, right? I do like the idea of going wide, but at a certain point you start saying, well, I've got a common plot. If I'm just going to throw common cards on there, each common plot's going to cost me 50,000 DEC to stake. So I'm like, you definitely have to do your numbers and find out if you're going to get the value out of what you're staking on there. So Garut says, I have enough SPS for 13% multiplier and now starting to burn for DEC to use it in land, for it's a marathon and not a sprint. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about this because every video, and frankly, YouTube videos, people have been talking about this since I started playing 2.5 years ago. Everybody's like, it's the long run, it's the long game, it's the long game. And I keep putting money in the game, and I really haven't made any money. But I enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to land. So yes, I do agree. I've kind of largely pulled away from the card playing, the main part of the game, and been emphasizing the land, getting ready for the land. So I used to do videos whereas I was looking at cards that had good value. In other words, not spend a lot of money, but get a good quality playing card and kind of go from that aspect, building my deck up and everything. But since the SPS staking, I've kind of pulled away because I have put some money into SPS. But at the same time, we were in the situation where, well, you got to get ready for land. So I started doing that, and I didn't really have enough money to do both. So I did switch both of my accounts over to Wild so that I played the Archmage bot. And I'm letting it do what it can do. It's, you can see I've got this sitting here. Let me refresh. This is my main account. And before all the changes occurred, the Archmage bot played this in Diamond 3, and I'm fighting just to get into gold in Wild. So, and you can see in Silver 1, I'm getting a 12.5 boost. I should be able to get in gold in the next, we all know the first portion of the season is tough, but should be able to. I finished in like gold 1 gold 2 last season. But that's not really my critical. Now, I have been talking to a person that is also a subscriber, and he decided to go the opposite route, okay? Instead of going heavy, I think he's got one plot, okay? But he stayed in Modern, and he's been using his investments, quote-unquote investments, to increase the strength of his deck. And, he's been reporting to me, he's been talking to me, usually on a daily basis, telling me about, how it's going. And he's playing in gold 2, gold 1, that kind of area. And he said, obviously playing mostly against humans, the competition's got a lot harder. Obviously, what you make SPS-wise has gone up, right? If you can win a match, but he's fighting for it tooth and nail, and he's getting a little bit frustrated, right? But the main point is, instead of going land, he went and just, he's buying better summoners, increasing the levels of specific cards and everything like that. So it's an interesting dynamic we have here. I just decided to go and land because I've always liked the idea of land. Alex, welcome to the stream. Thanks for dropping by. The real value in land will come from items and spells. Yeah, I mean, eventually that's where we're going, but that's so far down the road. I think the whole idea of land 1.5 being a completely different game from land 2.0 and further is the right mindset. You've got to go and, or at least I'm thinking of it this way. I'm going into land 1.5, being prepared to play it by the rule set that they're releasing with 1.5, really. In other words, the stuff, in other words, you're going to have 3 things you can farm, and kind of maximize what you can make as time goes along. We'll see, how you can sell grain. You're going to be able to sell it directly to people, but you're going to have to trust them. You send them this and then they send you, or are you going to mine SPS, or are you going to farm grain or do your studying as far as your research goes, and think that's a whole nother topic. It's a hot topic. People talking about, various people doing videos on that whole idea. You know, I'm just going to do a measured approach. I've got, like I said, I've got 2 plots. I've got 10 plots. I've got 2 magic plots. They're going to just be doing the research. I'm going to throw 2 plots on SPS mining, and then the rest is just going to be mining grain. I want to get a good surplus of grain, because once 2.0, and obviously 2.0 might be a year from now or whatever, 2.0 is going to bring a lot of changes about. And you might be in a situation where they make the change where only specific lands can farm grain. So my idea is kind of have a massive surplus going. But there's another kind of caveat to that, because once 2.0 goes live, they are also talking about the whole storage idea coming into play. So you're going to have plots to store your grain, or you're going to have rent out plots from somebody else to store your grain. So all that to say, 2.0 is going to be a completely different land game than 1.5, and I agree with what Alex said. Gathering says, finally got all my DEC I need and helped my wife get her 2 plots set up. Think I have enough cards for 4 of my 7 plots. I wonder, once Land 1.5 comes out, how many people will not play or not play as much ranked battles. They won't have the time, and fewer people playing ranked means higher rewards. Well, on your first comment, yeah, I was saying earlier, I think before you came on, I finally at a standpoint where I'm prepared for my 10 plots. Okay, I've got the cards I need. I'm at 9 to 10,000 PP per plot. I've got the DEC I need for staking, etc. So I think I'm set, and I'm kind of standing back for a minute. This week I did a series of videos. I thought they were going to be more popular than they were, but they were basically just flavor videos about all the different regions and areas within Pretoria. Didn't seem to be too popular, not too many people watched them, but it is what it is. I just wanted to try something different, right? So they're out there if you want to go watch them. But I thought, well, the team is putting some time and effort into creating some flavor, some story around what we're doing, versus just having it just being a card battle or, you know, just a land, a resource management type game, putting some flavor into it. So I figured I would give them some time. So I think I'm set up. Obviously, it sounds like you're still in the midst of setting up your wife's plots. But I think as time goes along, I do think that I want to take a look. Well, let's go over on Peak Monsters. Obviously, I was looking at land. Looks like Crypto Boggy is coming back down to the $42 point, trying to get still sell off some of these commons and Jumanji. The average has come up a little bit. I mean, a couple weeks ago, we were in the $37 average. Now, we've been sticking at this 42 to 4. Well, it's actually been up about 44 lately and just sunk down to 42. But I actually wanted to look at the card market and see where we stood here. Just for a minute, if you will humor me. So yeah, I kind of based this because I was buying gold foil max level commons for a lot of what I was putting on my lands, and I was basing. Let's do the Venari Heatsmith. When I started buying 2 months ago, it was about $6, $7. So it's doubled. It's more than doubled. Yeah, we're sorted correctly by BCX. Gargoyle Lion obviously always been cheaper. Yeah, so these gold foil commons and across the board, a lot of cards in general have doubled in price. Obviously, I haven't been keeping up with a lot of them, but the major ones are the gold foil commons and the standard foil legendaries. That I've been using for staking. Yeah. Now these cards haven't quite doubled, but almost, right? Because I've got a fair amount of Jin Bilka, Harklaw, all these this first two rows, especially these first four, doing a lot of staking with these guys, and these have almost doubled, if not more than doubled. So I mean, it's worth knowing that I think, and this is not investment advice, right? But there's two ways to go about this, because once the cards start getting soaked up, which they have for land preparation, and then I've heard a lot of people, a lot of larger landowners lately who are talking on videos saying that they don't have a lot of preparation done. So what that means is when land 1.5 goes live, you're going to have a fair amount of the higher end investors that, like Tom. I mean, he's got a castle, 2 keeps, 400 plots total. I don't know where Tom sits as far as cards go, but I'm sure that whenever it starts going live and he needs to decide which cards are going where, he's going to get on the market and he's going to need to soak up some of these cards. I don't know necessarily what his what he's going in with, but that's going to affect multiples, and I'm kind of using this as a talking point on Gathering's second point there. He says he wonders if when 1.5 comes out, how many people will not play or not play as much ranked battles. And his point is they won't have time, and fewer people played ranked means higher rewards. Now, I can't give a really opinion on that because I've never been ranked. I'm not a great player. I admit it. I'm not a great player. I like playing the game once in a while. I do play. In fact, I've played 2 accounts worth of guild brawls today. I'm not an excellent player, but I'm not terrible. I probably maintain a 50-50 ratio. So I think that when land 1.5 goes live, we're going to have far less cards on the market. So obviously we've seen the price of them go up. Okay, so it's going to be more expensive to improve your deck as time goes along, right? Now, it's also going to hit the rental market. I'm just kind of extrapolating with logic right here. I'm not trying to give advice on buying cards, but also the rental market. If you're in the situation to, like, maybe you don't have a lot of land. Maybe that part of the game isn't for you. But you do have a fair amount of cards. You can choose either to, if you don't really like the idea of land and you're not going to use the cards to go and surf on people's land, then maybe you can hit them on the rental market. And because I think the rental market will go up because the lack of cards, right? Or the price on the rental market will go up. But I'm not... it's a big open arching discussion because land is going to affect so many things and they know it. That's why this week, they didn't push it back necessarily, but they did say that there was an issue in development that stopped them from releasing it to the MAV server. So, I mean, as far as I know, it's still due by the end of August. But they know that when they go live, it needs to be right because it could affect the economy and the gameplay in so many different facets. It's got to be right. So, Groot says 100% agree with Gathering. Yep, I do. And Gathering goes on to say, may want to load up on time crystals before the land 2.0 to be able to instantly build the better buildings, mining ore, stone, wood, etc. Well, as far as loading up, I don't know. As far as I know, they're always going to be available by burning at your local castle. Now, you would have to have DEC to burn, so maybe you might want to load up on some DEC but that's a whole... I try not to get into the investment advice. Look, let's refresh. One other thing I was looking at here. Obviously, this week we know there's been a whole crypto kind of downturn this week. I don't really do a whole lot in that space because I'm not a finance guy that sits here. My brother likes to do the stocks, but I'm not really a numbers guy. But we saw that Both SPS and DEC took a downturn. SPS was up about 0.024 at one point, but now it's down about 0.018. DEC was up, just below 0.9, and now it's down 0.8. These graphs make it look like it's a lot bigger than what it really is. But I guess the whole idea is, I don't even know where I was. The whole idea is time crystals are going to be available from your local castle. As far as I know, at any point in time, at 1.5 forward, you're just going to have to burn the DEC to get them. And I do intend on, we've done the math, and basically the time crystals right up front are the same cost in DEC as buying grain to farm or to clear your land. So why not just buy time crystals? Now, obviously, as time goes along, if you can start getting some deals on grain, people such as Tom with large collections of land may decide to go into the standpoint of instead of burning for crystals, they are just buying grain and letting them their monsters clear as time goes along, because the price of grain will probably go down as time goes along because there's more available. Now in 1.5, you're going to have to do direct deals with people, which is going to make a little bit more difficult. But, I'm sure that, my standpoint is I'm going to try to be self-sufficient in 1.5, because what I don't want to do is get into a situation of having to pay 1 DEC per grain, which would be getting fairly expensive. Now, some people may say, well, we may get in and see the value of mining SPS is larger, so it's worth buying the grain. I don't know at this standpoint, but I'm going to initially go in with a nice, even, self-sufficient standpoint. Okay, let me catch up here. Garut says, I love the card game, and land probably comes in second for me. We'll keep playing the card game as rewards increase. I can completely understand that. I guess it's, I don't know. I guess it was frustrating for me. And the card game is almost like it's a never-ending thing, right? It's a never-ending. Obviously, there's some people on top that have like maxed out collections, but those people who, like me, who are in the middle somewhere, it's a never-ending thing. Because I was talking to another subscriber that I was talking about earlier, that obviously went the other way, kind of like you. Not too interested in land. He's got like one plot, but he has stayed in modern and he's focusing on his card play. But every day or every other day, he's like, oh, I had to go in and increase this level and this. And it's just like a never-ending kind of, it's a learning curve, right? You get into playing. Obviously, I got into playing and then I went to the bot play. And after a while, if you go back into playing, you have to relearn what the meta of the game is, right? And the meta changes by league. So what's great in bronze doesn't necessarily work in silver, gold, diamond, and above, right? So every time you change a league, you've got to go through this other learning curve and a spending curve. That's the big thing, right? So I think it's different for everybody. You got to decide whether you're getting your value out of it. There's different ways to get value. If you are enjoying your time, there's value in that. If you're enjoying making your time playing the game and making a little bit of SPS on the side, yeah, the SPS has went up greatly. I think across the board. I haven't done any numbers, but I can just roughly compare what I'm making in gold wild versus what the guy I was talking to was making in gold modern, and he's roughly making 3 times, 4 times what I'm making. So there's that. So I can completely see where you're coming from. The Chuny is in the house. Thanks for dropping by. He says, I am hoping we see some new LPs with land, which will be interesting. I don't think the liquidity pools are coming until 2.0. They may come in between, like the 1.6, 1.7, whatever, but I know they're not coming in with 1.5. That's a whole nother talking point, and I can't really talk on that. I don't know a whole lot about liquidity pools other than you better do your homework before you jump in. So obviously with all the liquidity pools that will, I like what they say, we're 50 of them, 50 to 60 of them are going to be released. So that's going to be the whole buy, sell, transfer mechanism, I guess, within once 2.0 hits. So I'm looking forward to it. I need to do a lot of homework on that because I'm the kind of guy on these financial things. I need to read it like 3 times. And obviously once I read through it, and I'm not going to do a video until I fully understand it, right? And once I fully understand him, when the information comes out, then I'll do a video on it. But I am looking forward to that as well. What I don't like is person-to-person transfers. I mean, I like it from the standpoint that we're able to do it, but it is very ripe for people. This situation in 1.5 is very ripe for people getting cheated, right? So you're going to have to be in a situation where you might say, well, from my standpoint, if I did direct trades, I would only do direct trades with people I know, I've done business with, I've talked with. I know they're not going to stiff me. Like Gathering the Magic. We've been talking back and forth since I've basically had a new channel. Okay, so more than a year now. So I would not have a problem with doing business with him or some of the other people I've known for a while, right? But if it was some random dude, I don't know if I would necessarily send him a bunch of grain and expect a payment, right? So we went into the situation with a few other games like Golem Overlord. When it went live, there was no store. And there was this whole section of time, like it was at least a month, maybe a month and a half, where people were just doing straight up trades off of the Discord channel directly, and people got hosed. I mean, there's a lot of people that, I luckily didn't get hosed, but there were some people that got cheated. So I don't like that situation, and I'll be a lot happier with it once the pools release in 2.0 or 1.7, whatever it ends up being, and the mechanism is there so that people can't be cheated. Much like, I kind of go back, if any of you ever played World of Warcraft, if I come up to you in World of Warcraft and I want to trade you something, I can trade you something, and then a window opens, and then you can put in what you're going to trade, like your gold or another item, and then you can, once we're both happy with the trade, we can click our button and it goes through instead of doing direct trade. I like that idea. Obviously, that's World of Warcraft, I know, completely different beast, but I like that whole idea of having a trading interface where both parties involved have to be happy with the trade before they click on the button, so to speak. I like that kind of thing. The pools are going to kind of it's a different idea, but it's still buy, sell, trade kind of thing. So I like that idea. Okay, let me see where we're at. Golem, the Chuny says, Golem Overlord looks like a no-go at this point. What do you think? Well, that's interesting because I still play on a daily basis. Obviously, there's a lot of changes that have taken place, and the coin has gone way down. I'm not sure why, because he has built in a lot of burning mechanism into the game. I'm still enjoying playing, and in fact, you can get in and you can play for a lot cheaper than what I put into it and build up. So from perspective of making money, I would say that if you're going into the game looking to just purely make money, probably not worth it. But if you want to have something going on the side that provides a little extra income onto the Hive Engine blockchain, the Hive blockchain, then it's worth thinking about. I don't think it's a major maker of money as it was when it first came out, obviously. It's very much along the lines of what kind of spawned it, which is I also play Terracore. Kind of the same game, but the rules are a little bit different. I'm enjoying both of them. If I started these at this point, I don't think I would invest a lot of money into them. I think Golem Overlord. I've probably put $100 into it, and that was at the very beginning. And I've just been turning over, and recently I've been putting a concerted effort into improving the number of my scavenger golems and working on my banked, because I'm way up. Now every 8 hours I'm bringing in about 180, maybe a little bit more. But to your question, I think that if you're going at it from a pure money making perspective, I don't think there's a lot of money to be made. I mean, you might make, I guess, 180 part. I don't even know what the value is. It's just probably a matter of a fraction of a dollar, and not 20 cents a day or something like that. But from a player's perspective, it's interesting. I think he's put a lot of effort into it. I like the way he's going. I wasn't necessarily, the big change was these backgrounds and everything. The backgrounds improve the amount of shards you make, which is great. But I will be more interested when he gets to the point of actual items, because in Terracore you can actually buy ships and different equipment and stuff like that. And the guy who creates and develops Terracore is putting a lot of development into it too. So I'm looking forward to where these two games are going. Just from my perspective, as I'm not a developer, but I'm an IT guy, I'm a systems admin, and I work heavily with different developers at where I work at. So I'm interested in the development process, and I like to see where these are going. These games are like managed by one or two people. I like to see that. I like to see small team games. So I guess this is a long blown out version of saying I probably wouldn't put a whole lot of money into them. But at this point, you can get up and running in one of the games for very little money compared to what I did. So apples and oranges, right? So okay, Alex says the Bitcoin halving happens next year, or like thing like that. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but I've been hearing people talk about that. I remember when the last halving occurred, and it's something that's going to heavily affect everybody. Obviously, most things follow Bitcoin. There's been a lot of talk about how maybe the Splinterlands infrastructure will help and is helping DEC and SPS resist that downward turn. Obviously, they did go down a lot, or a little bit this week, but I don't think they were as heavily influenced by the downturn in Bitcoin as all the rest of the cryptocurrency. I think that as they're building the game and increasing the value of the game, in other words, they've got the game, the standard game, they've got the land coming out. Once that comes out, they've got the idea of Soulkeep, where when Soulkeep comes out thereafter, they've got the soccer game. I know side, but it's all kind of congealed into the same area. So they've got a lot of value around this, and as they create more value, people come into the ecosystem, and that helps resist the downturn in prices of SPS and DC. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But like I said, I'm not a financial wizard. I approach this mostly as a game that I enjoy playing, and at this point, I've really enjoyed getting ready for land. I've always enjoyed that game type, the whole land preparation, resource management type game. I've always enjoyed that. So when land first was announced and everything, I was really into the idea. So Garut says scarcity is the factor in every aspect of Splinterlands. I agree, and I also think that I voted against the pack burning of Rift Watchers, but since Rift Watchers packs it's going to be are being burnt now, the scarcity, I think the Rift Watchers packs are going to be one of the lowest percentage rates of expansions available. Once they're gone, I think people are going to wish that they had bought some. I do need to get in and get a few packs here and there, but I've been largely preparing for land, and that's where all my money went. Also of note, The price of the I clicked the wrong button. I hate when the page load and you go to click a button and then the page shifts. See? I just wanted to check on the price of Nightmare. Back to 207, but on Hive Engine they're running a little bit lower. I just wanted to note that the Nightmare packs have been running, like I bought a few the other day at like $1.90. So $1.70. Nightmare packs are down to $1.70 now, and I'm not necessarily. I love the whole type of game. I'm not really enthused with the art style that they went in with this game, but I did go in and buy a few packs since the price had come way down, just so I could get into the game and give an opinion of it and show people what's going on with the game, mainly from that aspect. But that's kind of on Garut's point of scarcity. So I think that scarcity, I agree, scarcity affects everything, and land is going to make cards scarce. Now, that goes all back to the whole argument, or not argument, talking point about how percentage rates of land, actually when 1.5 comes out, how much of land is going to get up and running? How much people are going to stake out? I think the talking point is, anywhere from 15 to 30% people think will get up and running. I have no idea. I know I'm ready with my 10 plots. So obviously, if it's a low percentage, I think the scarcity of the cards is still going to be affected because, we've Gathering's done the numbers a few times, and several other YouTube presenters have done the numbers where it doesn't take too much percentage of the land to be used to heavily affect the card market. And that's both on the sales and the rental side. So that goes back to scarcity, right? You have much fewer cards, many fewer cards on the market. They are going to cost more, and it's going to cost more to rent them, right? So Garut says, I only play Gold League and will stay there. It keeps me enjoying the other stuff Splinterlands related and soon land. Yeah, my deck is mainly gold due to the fact that Archmage was playing it. It did usually play in Diamond, Wild, and or Modern, but I anticipated that when I went to Wild I wouldn't make it into Diamond, just due to the cards you're facing in Wild, right? So I mean, it is what it is. It's usually this last season was the first full season fighting this way, and you can see here I'm fighting in Silver 1 and just to try to get into Gold. I think I finished in Gold 2 last season. My amount of chests went way down. My type of chest went down. But it is what it is, and I made the financial decision to go into land and use my money there instead of beefing up my play deck to allow it to play. But that's not to say that down the road I'd decide to go ahead and beef up the deck a little bit and start playing in Modern again. Who knows? Gathering says people are trading on Discord for Splinterforge before the market came out. Yeah, I agree with that. I remember that as well. Same type of idea. I have to do another video on Rift Watchers. I did one months ago breaking down the numbers on how scarce they are compared to other sets. Now it will be twice as rare. Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about that, and that's chiefly why I voted against. I think people voted for it for money. I think all the decisions come down to money. People who have money invested in Rift Watchers want them to go away, so their packs that they do have go up in price, right? Simple logic. But I was looking at it from a gameplay standpoint. The thing is that I've talked about this before, but when we've talked about this and we're continuing to talk about it, but we need to get new players into the game. And there's a lot of things around this conversation, but one of those is when you come into a new game and you're a card player, you want to buy some packs. So if you go into a game and there are no packs available on the primary market, they're only available on the secondary market at a pumped up price, that, to me, that makes me less likely to join that game, right? I want to be able to get into a game, buy the expansion, that whatever's available. I know that I'm going to have to buy singles to beef up my cards. I know that I've talked about this since I started my channel. It's been always much more money efficient to buy singles than it is to buy card packs. But let's face it, we're card players, we're card collectors. We like opening packs. I've been opening packs since Magic the Gathering in 1996. I love busting open packs, right? In fact, I got a whole nother channel that's dedicated towards the actual physical card TCGs. Not that I've done a whole lot there lately, but when you go into a new game, you like to open packs. And if you get into a game and there's no packs to open, unless you go on the secondary market and the price is inflated, that's going to make it less tasty to come in, right? So let's see here. The Chuny says, when it comes to cards, it's best to look at them as contracts with different pictures on them. Each set recreates most contracts that already exist, which is why they all revert in value. Not much originality when you view the cards as contracts, and with their focus on land, new contracts will not be added for a while. Yeah, that's one way to look at it. Obviously, they're NFTs, right? So they're contracts on the blockchain. Totally legitimate way to look at it. I'm a card player. I like to look at them as cards. But yeah, you're right. As soon as Rift Watchers go away, there won't be any card sets for a while. I mean, they've talked about the next set, and they've talked about like kind of a small filler set in the middle. But after Land 1.5 goes live, they will probably retain a certain amount of people working on 1.6 and those gradual changes that we've been they've talked about. But they're also going to have to shift some people over to work on Soulkeep and get that live. So what that means is if everybody's split between Land 1.6, 1.7, whatever, and Soulkeep, how many people are available to actually work on a new card set? They may have it in the bag. I don't know. But they've always talked about this idea of having a 2 to 3 month time period where there's no card packs for sale. And I'm just saying that's, I came into Splinterlands and cards at that point sold out, right? So let's see here. So whenever I came in at the very end of Untamed. Now, to tell you the truth, I was able to buy one pack of Untamed, and they went away, right? And everything else has had to been singles. I'm glad I like buying singles because there was a whole period there where there was no card packs to buy unless you want to buy a pumped up price, and at that point you had to buy them on Hive Engine, right? But like I said, I'm coming back to the new player standpoint. But yeah, if you look at it from contract standpoint, they are just digital contracts on the blockchain. I still like to look at them as cards. And you're right. We're going to hit a time period here where there's just no packs available. All the prices going up. That's great for us to have some packs sitting. But at that standpoint, it's also if you want to go in and, as a creator, once in a while, I like to buy some packs, do a video, stuff like this, see if I get anything. Obviously, it's not my main way of building my deck, or it's not my main pointed way of getting cards to put on land, right? Because obviously it's always been more efficient just to buy singles, but we all like opening packs, right? But if the packs are double, triple, 3, 4 times the price, people are going to lay off buying packs, right? So Ikey, welcome to the stream. Thanks for dropping by. He says, wow, made one that's live. Great content. Thanks a lot. We do this every Saturday, 11:30 to 12:30, depending. That's Eastern time, depending upon where you're from. I have some people that visit from Europe and other areas. I understand, but I'm trying to shift this around. But this seems to, if people have a better idea, if you have an opinion on when I should get, I'm all for doing it at a different point in time. But this seems to work pretty well. I did shift and make it a little bit later, and it seems to help out and getting a few more people. International Travel Channel has showed up. Guten Tag. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for dropping by. Do appreciate your time. Gathering says, if no packs were burned for Rift Watchers, there are only 2,000 max legendaries and about 225 max gold foil legendaries. Now divide that by half or so because of the burn. Yeah. I mean, I think the overall standpoint here is, going into land, we're just going to see the card market go up and the rentals go up, like I've said. I mean, I don't see any way that can't happen. The only way that can't happen is, if they flood the market with another expansion, which they have, is months out at this point. At this point, they want to get rid of Rift Watchers. So, obviously, I don't have a ton of Rift Watchers. I need to get several more before those go away. I was hoping to do a few more pack openings, but obviously I've been trying to get my land situated. And now that I've stood back and figured out how much I've spent on land over the last 2 months, I'm trying to kind of take a little bit of a break of, spending that amount of money and kind of catch my breath and look at how things are maturing and everything. But I agree. You've done the numbers a number of times, and there's a couple other guys doing videos that have talked about the cards. And Aggie has said a number of times on his stream that there's just not going to be enough cards. I mean, everybody agrees to that. So I think the land is going to have the biggest impact on cards on the game. I'll go out on a limb and I'll say I think land is going to have more of an impact on the game as a whole than the change of SPS staking requirements, for play. I think so, because land is going to affect so many different things. We saw SPS go up a little bit due to staking requirements, but we can see that it went back down. I do think that, if you're in the card market, or if you are in the game, if your chief mode of playing this game is playing the card game, I think if you are not in the situation of having enough SPS currently staked to make what you want to make out of the game on a daily basis, I think now's a good time to buy SPS. I'm on the other side where I'm playing the land game, and I'm just kind of riding it out. Like I said, I've never really taken any SPS out of the game and sold it. I've just continued to roll it over. And since the changeover to SPS staking, I've more than doubled my SPS stake. So I'm still not where I need to be. But if I was chiefly playing the card game and not the land game, I'd buy SPS now. Not investment advice. But if I was playing the card game chiefly, I would want to get as much of that boost as possible. That's my main point. Okay, let's see here. Ike says, in the UK here, and just back from Newmarket horse races. Went to the horse races. Hopefully you won some and didn't. Hopefully you brought your lunch money home and didn't lose it there. I think I've only been to the horse races one time. I don't live by a track right now. I used to live by one in New Orleans. Didn't go. I went to the track, but there was no races at that point in time. So, Crypto Beaver in the house says, Rift Watchers is such a great pack. I just took the plunge and bought 100 packs yesterday and planning to buy more as we get closer to the airdrops. Yeah, I mean, Gathering and I have been loosely talking about this back and forth since they started doing the burn. But yeah, the value is going to go up. I mean, they're just getting rid of them at a fast pace. Let's see. I haven't even looked at them in the last few days. So they're going for 364 in game. And they're going, actually, they're more expensive on Hive Engine. Wow, I didn't expect that. Usually stuff is a little bit cheaper on Hive Engine. People forget to look over there. Yeah, by the way, if you're relatively new to the game, always check prices in game and check prices on Peak Monsters and check prices on Hive Engine, because a lot of times stuff is going to be cheaper on Hive Engine and all it just takes is shifting it into game. But it looks like Rift Packs are 364. Yeah, they're going to be very tempting just from the card opening standpoint, or even if the, obviously the whole stipulation of not investment advice, even, from the point we were talking about earlier, that this is probably, I don't know, I'd have to do the numbers. Obviously the earliest sets like orbs and dice are very limited, but as far as the sets in the last year and a half, Rift is going to be very highly limited, and I would be surprised if the value on these didn't go up exponentially whenever they went out of print. So obviously not investment advice. Oh, while we're on this page, I see that common totems are up to $27. Yeah, 27.5 is the cheapest one. So people playing the flip game, buying stuff and flipping it. Me, I bought my 10 totems. I'm happy with them. Just happened to look at this. I don't necessarily think that a rare totem is worth. I don't think the rares have gone up as much as the common totems. People are buying and flipping the common totems much more. Cheapest one is $89.5. I don't necessarily think that the rares are worth that. They might be worth double what the common is, but that's just my opinion. Okay, just from the fact of what they will actually get you, percentage-wise. Gathering says, okay. Crypto Beaver says, with DEC at 0.00078 and the extra 10% you get with vouchers per 100 packs, it was a no-brainer to do this. And Gathering says you got to the top 200 for Rift Watchers with those 100 packs. Yeah, I think I want to buy some. I'm not going to go in and invest a lot into them. Obviously, I think that would be a valid purchase. But like I said, I'm going in hard on land as far as what I consider hard. Obviously, it's not what a lot of big spenders would consider that much. But like I said, I stepped back and figured out in the last couple months, I've spent like $1,500. And that's just getting ready for 10 plots, right? So I think I'm taking a breather right now. Yeah, congratulations, Crypto Beaver, top 200. Nice. So, I mean, with that said, I mean, we're coming to the bottom of the hour. If anybody has any final comments as far as what you want to get in here and talk about, we can talk about one last topic. Yeah, the value that Crypto Beaver got on top of buying those cards, yeah, it's a good value. And Gathering says, the hard part is not opening the packs. I have an alpha and a couple beta, sometimes tempted, but won't open. Thanks for the great stream. You are welcome, sir. But yeah, I agree on that. And I think that overall sentiment applies across card collecting in general, whether it be physical or in game. I think the price and the value of the card pack, the old card packs, is much better. The percentage of the value of the pack you getting out profit if you turned around and sold that in the future, there's a much higher percentage of chance of you making a profit off that than you opening that pack. How many card packs openings have we seen? Whether it's in-game, alpha, betas, whether it's out of game, Magic the Gathering, somebody busts open a revised pack or something like that, and the value went from like $50 or $100 down to whatever the singles were worth, $12 or whatever it was, you know. So I think if you have older packs, keep them, don't open them. I know it's very difficult to not open them. Garut, you are welcome. And Gathering Gets In says, hit the like and subscribe if you haven't, and spread the word about the Saturday morning stream. I agree. Hey, I love talking about Magic. I love talking about Splinterlands. I love talking about all these games on the Hive blockchain. And the more people we have show up, the more opinions and the more things we can talk about. I guess the whole idea to this stream is just getting a little education, and when we talk about things from different perspectives, we can all learn a little bit. So with that said, this has been Bronze Dragon. I do appreciate you stopping by. See you next week, same dragon time, same dragon channel, and I'll see you on the flip side.